I'm standing in the highest priced lick tub in North America. Now what might surprise you about Riomax is ranchers that would describe themselves as
I'm a cheapskate by nature. We pinch their pennies.
I am the penny pincher.
Are really the folks using it. Now these are ranchers that not only expect Riomax to pay for itself, but they expect to see money back in their pocket. Throughout the video today, we're going to talk about the results we see on the Riomax program, the science behind those results and why we see the results we do, and last but certainly not least, crunching the cold hard numbers on what it looks like to feed Riomax. By the end of this video, you'll know if Riomax is a fit for your operation, and at the end of this video, we'll be revealing a special something, so stick around, you won't want to miss it. So how did this tub come to be? To understand where this tub came from, we gotta go all the way back to 2002.
The year was 2002. The Winter Olympics were in Salt Lake City. Kenny Chesney released The Good Stuff, and Trevor Greenfield started selling vet supplies out of a tiny one-car garage in Vesta, Minnesota. He didn't feel like a business founder. He felt like a frustrated man selling Me Too products.
It's vanilla flavor.
He thought back to lessons on digestion in high school and asked himself, how can I help impact cattle digestion and ranching? With no answers, he reached out to a longtime cattle nutritionist who sat down and taught him, one-on-one, how to feed rumen microbes. By feeding rumen microbes, you squeeze more out of every mouthful. Makes sense, right? In 2006, Riomax was born with a single digestion ingredient. Fast forward, the digestion technology pack has gone from 1 to 5 to 10 to 15, and now more than 20 components, helping ranchers save 15 to 30% on hay or forage, which is why they say it
pays for itself.
Hey, I'm Jake. So we've been called foo-foo dust, snake oil, you name it. However, there is over 500,000 cows currently licking on the Riomax tubs for 4 main reasons. First and foremost, 15 to 30% feed savings, 10 to 40 pound bump in weaning weights, 3 to 10% bump in conception rates, and just to cap things off, an increased overall herd health, less sickness in the calves, cows staying content, hair coat slicking off, to name a few.
Their hair coats in the spring was like a copper penny.
But to bring it back and focus more specifically on the feed savings, after all, that is the main reason guys are using the tubs. What we're doing is we're feeding the microbes in the cow's rumen, helping them to digest the feed more efficiently, so in turn, that cow needs less of it. This can look like increased carrying capacity, reducing protein supplement costs, cutting back hay, or utilize some poor quality grazing while keeping that cow's body condition where it needs to be. Whatever that looks like, bottom line is, Riomax has to be making you money or you shouldn't be using it.
Now I get it. As a rancher, there are literally hundreds of products on the market that are all claiming to be the next best thing. And we've all heard that snide comment, if I use every product that claimed to add 50 pounds, I'd probably wean in 1,000-pound monsters. Now with Riomax, what most folks don't know is there's 2 main ingredient packages which make up our secret sauce. I'm gonna hand it over to Lauren and he's gonna reveal them right now.
Hey, I'm Lauren and work with the ranchers across the southern U.S. One of the comments I get from them is, you know, everybody's out trying to sell the next best thing, or snake oil is what they actually call it.
Thought to myself, oh, it's just another snake oil.
So we're here to explain the 2 main ingredients that make up the Riomax to where we're seeing it driving profitability back to North America. So what is Escort? Escort is made up of copper, manganese, zinc, and selenium, your 4 key trace minerals. According to Dr. Hall,
copper deficiency, selenium deficiency, zinc deficiency are the most common deficiencies recognized in cattle across North
America. Industry standard, if you're feeding a mineral that says it's chelated, it's going to be 20 to 30% chelated to 70 to 80% sulfates and oxides. Copper sulfate is actually a bactericide. There's been university studies by Dr. Spears that showed that the sulfates and oxides actually have a negative impact on the good bacteria we're trying to feed in the rumen, and that's where you start getting your antagonists or your tie-ups. So by the time that copper sulfate gets to the small intestine, it's become too large to be absorbed through the cell wall, so there's one way out the back end of the cow. And there's studies that show as that copper sulfate leaches into your soil, it's going to have a negative impact on the good bacteria we're trying to feed in the soil as well. On the Escort package, the copper we're using is completely protected or completely available to the cow. So with the Escort, we're focused on getting as much of that mineral into the bloodstream with higher levels and more availability.
And it was the first time ever that anything had come back with adequate zinc and copper, and kind of made me a believer that it wasn't just snake oil.
So using that higher quality mineral, we're seeing increased conception rates, increased herd health, and then probably the biggest thing is the cows are cycling back quicker after they calve. So you start tightening up your calving window. It's not uncommon for guys that have been on the Riomax program going into their second, third year to all of a sudden get 80% of their calf crop in that first cycle.
I would say 80% of our calves are born within the first cycle.
That extra 21 days in that first cycle is going to make a huge impact on your weaning weights.
We ship the heaviest calves that we've ever shipped from the Diamond Cross. They're about 38 pounds heavier than normal, which I think was definitely part of the Riomax program.
So that's all thanks to the quality of the Escort package in the Riomax, just getting more done with less. Neutriozorb is really the second part of the tub, or if you want to call it the protein side of the tub. It's made up of enzymes, probiotics, prebiotics, yeast, and fungi fuel. So what we're focused on there is actually feeding the microbes in the rumen. If we're building up that microbe population, hyperactivating them, they're able to break down, utilize the forage more effectively and efficiently. University of Minnesota did a study back in 2015 on a grainer forage. They consistently bumped the TDN by 3 percentage points. So we know we can take whatever forage is out there scientifically and give it a 3% bump. So we can take a poor quality hay, make it act like a mediocre, or take a mediocre hay, make it act like a good hay, and just help get more out of what you got there. So not only are we feeding the good bugs, but we're also tying up and flushing out your scour bugs. So baby calves, we see less sickness when they get on the tub. Stalker calves, less sickness, but really where we see the biggest benefit is the 15 to 30% forage savings. By building up that microbe population on an efficient rumen, a cow can get up to 80% of her protein from microbial protein. The microbe life cycle is less than a half hour. When they die, they become a true usable source of protein. So it's an indirect supplementation versus your traditional direct fed supplementation.
So if you think about this dartboard as the cow's diet, you know, all 30 or 35, ow, frick, that hurt. All 30 or 35 pounds of feed she's consuming in a day. The bullseye in the middle represents her supplement. So be that a protein tub, a loose mineral, even the Riomax tub fits into that little 2% of what she's consuming. Now, at the end of the day, whether it's a 20 or a 30% of anything, there's only so much protein you can squeeze into 2% of her diet. And that's why at Riomax with Neutriozorb, the digestive package in the tub, we're focusing on the entire diet.
Industry wants to try and see how much they can pack into that 2%. We're trying to see how much we can get out of the other 98%.
So not only are we packing as much as we can in that 2%, but we're helping that cow utilize and break down her entire diet, so she's pulling more protein and more energy out of her feed, which is why we see the 15 to 30% feed savings we do on the tub.
We've been able to get 20 to 30% in savings on the hay that we've been feeding.
Those cows are extracting more nutrients out of their feed, and they don't need to eat near as much of it to meet those daily requirements.
And while it all sounds good in theory, it might be kind of hard to visualize microbes like what Lauren was talking about. Now, what is easy to visualize is a change in manure. What we've been hearing from guys is that rather than the manure stacking up, it's kind of more like a pancake batter consistency with a little divot in the middle. And when guys are out in their field kind of checking their manure, which might sound kind of weird, frankly.
But I look at poop a lot.
What they've noticed is there's smaller lignins or fibers, which is showing us that we're just helping to squeeze that much more out of what you've already got. Now, we took this a step further. Here, now give me those. What we did is we did a handful of manure studies. We took a group of cows on Rio and a group of cows not on Rio, same feed source and same water source. And 30 days in, we pulled 10 pounds of manure from the group that was on Rio and the group that wasn't on Rio, and we liquefied it and then ran it through an 1/8" screen. And what we found is group that was on Rio, there was 51% less undigested feed. Where's this going? Well, it's not going out the back end. So what does that mean for you? It's staying in the animal to help with body condition and helping that calf development. And that's why, going back to the Neutriozorb, we're able to help ranchers cut back on their feed and forage costs.
Now this all sounds cool, but the question is, what's this gonna cost? There's two ways to look at our supplement cost. One is on a cost per ton or a cost per tub, and the second is really the proper way to look at your supplement cost is what's it costing on a per head per day basis. So let's start with your upfront cost. Riomax on a upfront cost is $495 for a 250 pound tub. Now I know what you're thinking. That makes this a pretty dang expensive chair. But let's break it down on a per head per day basis and see how Riomax compares to your other options. Now if we break it down with our low consumption, a cow's gonna eat generally about 0.23 of a pound on a per head per day basis. So that means Riomax on a per head per day basis is gonna cost you 46 cents per cow per day. But let's factor in the feed savings and see where that comes out. So obviously we're here varying numbers, but let's just take this year, I think pretty conservative numbers to say $100 a ton for hay. And if you're feeding 30 pounds of hay per cow per day as a rancher, if we can save 15% of that hay, that means that's 4.5 pounds per cow you're not feeding. And at $100 a ton, that hay savings is worth roughly 22.5 cents per cow per day. So if we take the cost of Riomax, subtract your hay savings, would get you 23.5 cents per cow per day is what Riomax would cost you to feed. So let's discuss the protein tub. So for a lot of guys feeding the protein tub, there's too low of mineral levels in the protein tub to actually get the cow's daily requirements met. So they're feeding a protein tub plus a loose mineral or even possibly a mineral tub. In this case, we're gonna figure protein tub plus a loose mineral. So for a normal, say a 20 or 30% protein tub, it's gonna cost you about 150 bucks for a 200 pound tub. Now a lot of those tubs run anywhere from 3/4 of a pound all the way up to 2 pounds a day. For real easy math, we just said let's figure a pound a day. So if you got a $150 protein tub, those cows are eating a pound a day, that's gonna be costing you 75 cents per cow per day to feed that protein tub. And if we take a loose mineral, for a lot of guys, if you're doing a middle of the road loose mineral, say $30 a bag at a normal 1/4 pound consumption, so 4 ounces per head per day, that loose mineral is going to cost you about an additional 15 cents. So if we compare, you got your protein tub 75 cents a day, your loose minerals 15 cents a day, you're going to be spending about 90 cents per cow per day. So really, when you sit down and do the math, arguably a protein tub plus a loose mineral is one of the more expensive ways to supplement your cows through the winter. So let's talk about cake and a loose mineral. If we take cake, for a lot of our ranchers that we work with, they were feeding, say 2 pounds of cake per cow per day. And this year, this stuff, I don't know, anywhere from, I'm hearing 350 to 500, but if we just say 350 on the lower end, 350 a ton for your cake, and you're feeding 2 pounds of it, that's gonna cost you 35 cents per cow per day in cake alone. And if we take those earlier numbers we were running on your loose mineral costs, loose mineral is gonna cost you about an additional 15 cents per cow per day. So between your cake and your loose mineral, you're going to be spending about 50 cents per cow per day, not including your labor or the cost of the pickup expenses to be putting that out on a daily or a couple times a week basis. Now maybe you're a rancher that says, listen, my cows don't need protein, they can rough it through the winter, so we just do a basic mineral program or a mineral tub. For most of our guys doing just a loose mineral, they're feeding a higher quality mineral program, so about $50 a bag is what they would figure for a 50 pound sack of mineral. With that same 1/4 pound consumption, you're going to be spending about 25 cents per cow per day to feed just a really good quality mineral program to the cows through the winter. So let's sum up our options here. We got our generic protein tub plus a loose mineral at about 90 cents per cow per day. We have our cake plus our loose mineral coming in at 50 cents per cow per day. Generic loose mineral program coming in at 25 cents a head a day. And last but certainly not least, we have our Riomax when we're factoring in the feed savings coming in at 23.5 cents a day. So now you've got an idea on a cost per head per day where Riomax stacks into the lineup, especially once we factor in the feed savings. Now let's say as a rancher you're sitting here and you're not interested in feed savings this winter, just to be quite frank. You're looking at what am I going to spend per head per day versus per head per day. So if we're taking that, your loose mineral is costing you 25 cents a day. Riomax is coming in at 46 cents a day. So that's an additional 21 cents per head per day we're spending on the Riomax program. Again, this is if you're not as concerned about the feed savings. So let's just do some quick math on that. If we're saying Riomax is going to cost an additional 21 cents per head per day, through the course of the winter, or say 150 days, roughly 5 months, you're spending an extra $31 a cow to feed the Riomax program. Now, what I'd like to ask you, and I can't do this math for you, I'd love to help if you would like to connect, but if we're looking at $2,500 calves, and we're talking about a $31 investment in your herd, that additional per cow expense through the course of this winter, what are you going to get for your money? I'll say it this way. If you're feeding a 25 cent a day program and you're totally happy, you feel like you're exactly where you need to be for results, and you're not looking to move the needle any further, well then quite frankly, Riomax might not be the best fit for you here this year. But I would say if you feel like there's other areas you want to move the needle or you could be more profitable in your operation, let's look at that little extra expense we're going to do, the $31 a head, and say now what is the potential returns if I achieve those results.
Hey guys, my name's Randy. Now, that sounds all fine and dandy, but what if my cows go through the tubs like candy? In a moment, I'm going to reveal something to you that folks who are using Riomax gives them a lot of peace of mind. What I am going to do is seek to explain to you the Riomax CostGuard 90 in under a minute. What the CostGuard 90 is our guarantee to you that those cows will consume between 1/8 and 1/3 of a pound per head per day. Across 90 days, if that average is over 1/3 of a pound, we're gonna reimburse you back down to the 1/3 of a pound. So one of the things that is really cool about the Riomax product is our forage balancer technology. And what that is doing is that is allowing that cow to self-regulate her intake based off the time of year. So if she's on good green grass in the spring, her consumption is going to be a lot lower as opposed to coming into calving when she's building up her colostrum and getting ready to calve and pushing everything into that calf. Now, you might be wondering, hey, with that low of consumption, is that cow going to get what she needs?
How can you get all of that in a small amount they would eat a day?
And what Riomax does that's different is we're building our tub to a value point, not a price point. That means that there's no fillers in the tub and the cow is able to get everything she needs out of that 1/8 to 1/3 of a pound consumption. So in the Riomax product at a 1/4 pound, you're gonna have a lot more feedings than the tub where you're at a pound or 1.5 pounds per head per day. And roll down the hill.
So you've watched the video, you like what you're hearing, and your next question is, where do we go from here? Let's get in touch. We'll establish what you're looking to get done, and then connect you with your local dealer. Before we do that though, there's two things we need to cover. Firstly, we need to establish how long we're gonna do the Riomax program for. When we're looking at it for a lot of our guys, a minimum 90-day trial, that's what we recommend. But a lot of our guys, for them, a trial period with Riomax looks like 6 months to a year. So knowing how long you're gonna do the program for and making sure you're committed to sticking with the program for that long is essential to actually delivering on the results we've talked about. The second part to it, and most importantly, is you as an operation, you as a rancher, you know what success looks like in your herd. You know, we've talked a lot about what guys see with results, different things on the program, but to have what you want specifically to get done with your herd with Riomax is, I would say, the most essential part of it all. Once we're in touch, we can really talk that through, make sure you know at the end of that 6 months or that year what success looks like on the Riomax program and exactly how the tub's gonna pay for itself in your operation. At the beginning of this video, we said to stick around for a special something, and we weren't kidding. For every 500 people that watch this video, we'll be giving away a free ton of Riomax. So if you're still watching, thanks for sticking around. You're eligible to win a free ton of Rio. Just fill out the form below, That'll get you entered for a chance to win, as well as we'll be getting in touch to talk a little bit more about your operation and see if Riomax is a fit for you. From our family business, thanks for watching and have a good one.